Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly for pricing. Email me at tmosso at thewatchbox.com. Today, we're discussing a watch that launched in 2007. At the time, it was a technology leader and a flagship piece for Omega. This is the Ville Hour Vision, 41 millimeters in diameter in red gold. This watch was the launch platform for the ETA designed but Omega exclusive purpose-built tri-level coaxial movements. The timepiece at 41 millimeters is full-size but not oversized and relatively thin at 12.5 millimeters thick, 50 millimeters lug tip to lug tip, and 20 millimeters is the spacing between the lugs. Thrown it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. Again, full-size but not oversized. It does fill up the wrist, and I recommend you have a wrist of at least my size to wear this. So 16 centimeters circumference or larger. Part of that is down to the relative stiffness of the strap. So perhaps on a more flexible strap, 15 centimeters, but 16 is how I recommend the watch as equipped here. Here's your over the top. Here's your cuff shot. No issues with dress cuffs. It will fit underneath and then down the barrel one time. All right. This is the Omega clasp that's been in service forever, since the early 2000s. It's a great piece. That's why it's endured. Polished externally, polished and engine turned internally. It's a twin trigger release, so you have to press both to release it. You have a little crimping system, so when you take the strap, you tuck it in, you buckle it in, you clamp it down, and then all excess length is hidden underneath. So there's no need for strap minder loops externally for a very clean look. So it's secure and it's clean. You can see it's also curved to match the arc of the underside of your wrist. We have a medium brown, large rectangular scale alligator leather strap with some stuffing or bolstering to give it thickness. There's a monotone stitch. We have a folded edge. Regular calfskin on the bottom is a brand new Omega factory strap. No crimping, no gouging. The case is exquisite. This is not another one of those lyre style lug Omega cases, although there are some fingerprints here, and I apologize for that. The case is in outstanding condition. This was part of Omega's contribution to the world of sapphire cases, which were still in their experimental phase back in the mid-2000s when this came out. The idea of using sapphire for something other than a crystal over the dial or the case back was still very new, and Omega wanted to put its new 8500 series on display. That's why from all four sides, you have vision of the mechanism. That is, you have Hour Vision, which is why this watch is thusly named the Hour Vision. The case is also thoughtful in its design, as we have a combination of satin finish on the lug flanks. They have a little downturned squared off tip. There's a bevel that runs down the flank of the lugs. The lugs are actually large and substantial. You can see they ride up over the bezel, which means they have a wonderful large arcing sculptural form. The bezel could very easily have been placed on top of the lugs, and the lugs could have been cut off right about here. They would have looked too short and they would have lacked in elegance. So this solution, allowing them to embrace the bezel almost the way the gold of a wedding ring embraces the gem. It gives you the sense that the watch is a gem set within the lugs. We also have a bezel with two facets, a vertical facet and a domed facet. Everything up top is polished. We have a push-down crown with the Omega logo, though surprisingly, the watch is 100 meters water resistant, so on a different strap you can swim with it. The dial is beautifully detailed. It reminds me of the so-called ocean liner Art Deco or high Art Deco, once Art Deco really hit its stride in the mid-1930s. We've got this rhodium track with strakes that look like something you'd find on the lobby of the Chrysler building. Over that, we have hour indices that bridge across those strakes. You can see that they are alternately faceted, and the polished facets really pop as you move them through the light. We have a similarly finished aperture for the date, though it includes a different form. It's trapezoidal. Note that there's a little bit of a pinched center to these indices. They have a little bit of a Coke bottle swell to their ends. We have an applied Omega logo. We have a beautiful brown bronze sunburst metallic dial and a seconds track and minutes track outboard to match. You can see the inner bezel is all satinated with a nice brushed finish. And then you have hands that feature exquisitely subtle faceting on their sides and satination across their top. You can see the tip of the hand, like the facets on the side, mirror polished. Beautiful detailing, the kind of attention to detail you'd expect on something like a Grand Seiko. Now, there's great attention to detail on the date disc as well. You can see that the 2 there is the same as the 2 on the dial, and the 0 on the dial is the same as the 0 on the disc. There are 2 setting modes, one of which is hacking seconds. That stops the movement, so you can set it precisely against a reference time to the second. And then there is another feature which debuted on these 8500s, at least among mechanical Omega movements. I can move the hour hand, and I can move it forward and backwards. The watch doesn't stop, the minute hand doesn't budge, and I can even drive the date as I move east or west across the international date line. Rolling around to the case back, take one last look at those sapphire inserts on the flank. They really are quite cool. This is caliber 8501. So it's the 8500, albeit with a solid gold rotor and a solid gold balance bridge. It's a twin barrel movement with automatic winding in both directions, a 60-hour power reserve. It has a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance for shock tolerance. The twin barrels ensure that relative to a single barrel movement, even with the same power reserve, you have a more even torque release, so the watch doesn't gallop really fast when it's fully wound, and it doesn't start losing a lot of time with lower balance amplitude after 24 hours the way a single barrel movement can. It is a coaxial tri-level. You can see there's a bridge below the balance bridge, and that features the coaxial escapement here in tri-level form, invented by Dr. George Daniels in the 70s, sold to Omega in the 90s, and first industrialized by them in 1999. The coax gives you improved power reserve, improved chronometry, and now in its latest and definitive tri-level version, it even reduces maintenance requirements. All of this is beautifully decorated with arabesque spiral Cote de Genève, both black polished and blackened screws. The bevels are mechanically executed but attractive, and there's engine turning on the base plate as well as on the bridge for the escapement just below. And it is a lovely movement that is a COSC certified Swiss chronometer adjusted in 5 positions, giving you outstanding rate precision. And even these earliest versions of the 8500 can run to plus 0.5, 0.3 seconds per 24 hours. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.